Kyle, man, I don't know how many more of these you guys can see up close and personal, the way that these happen. But, man, take us down the stretch really in the fourth quarter as the Sixers had the lead. They cough it up. Cleveland is making this ferocious comeback and everything that played out there in the end. What were your thoughts live in the moment?
Well, first of all, fellas, I just have to say I didn't know I would ever be able to come on the postgame show again from the arena. So it's nice to be able to make this happen every once in a while, you know? So I would say this. It went from a game that I thought they had totally under control, that I thought VJ and Paul and that backup group to open the fourth quarter played really well. You deliver it to a point where you bring back Tyrese first, and then you bring back Joel. And I thought the second that they brought Maxey back in that game is when things went off the rails. He had a few possessions that he just missed shots with some of it, and it compounded what I thought was another poor night for him on offense. But, you know, it was certainly a team effort to get there. They had that one possession where Joel ends up heaving an air ball from the baseline after they had wasted a bunch of clock. Kelly Oubre misses a three. Like, there were errors of execution all over the place. So I keep saying it. I feel like this has been a big talking point on the show this last week, Devon, but they've been in crunch time games all year. And it's very easy when you're winning those games to just say, boy, they're a great crunch time team. They have what it takes when it matters. And what I kept cautioning against was, what you really want is to win these games by 10 to 12 points, and you don't have to worry about crunch time, and you just see it out, because over time, the math and basic logic says you're going to start losing some of these coin flip games. Well, now they're losing a lot of these coin flip games, and whatever good vibes that they created with the crunch time wins earlier in the year have all but dissipated.
And they're never the same, Kyle. They're always different now with these types of losses, whether it's turnovers at the end, not boxing out, the weird opportunity that DeAndre Hunter had for that layup where Joel was trying to locate and find one of the big men, Allen or Mobley, and he's just running down the floor, DeAndre Hunter does, for a layup to give them a lead. And again, it's just they're always different but frustrating in the same way.
Yeah, and so I'll give you guys some insight about some of what went wrong tonight from the team perspective. So Tyson going absolutely bonkers tonight was a big part of Cleveland winning. In fact, I would say it's the number one reason that they won that game. And when I asked Maxey about it after the game, what he said was they treated it as if it was a playoff game, and it was, okay, we're not letting Donovan Mitchell beat us. We're going to load up on his drives. We're going to send help. And a lot of times it was Tyrese. Like, I've wrote about it in the recap, but I think 33 points into a 39-point game, one pass away, Maxey is helping off of Tyson on a Mitchell drive, and Tyson hits a catch-and-shoot three, unsurprisingly. And so it was just one of those games where they said, we are willing to live with Tyson taking these threes, despite the fact that he is a very good three-point shooter. They just said, we don't want Donovan Mitchell to beat us. We're going to make someone else beat us. And Tyson did it. And so that, even as he gets to 33, 36, 39, and he's making plays down the stretch, they just stuck to the strategy. So I think we can dress it up in other ways, and we can, you can shake your head and say, oh, I can't believe that Jalen Tyson scored 39 points, and the career high of it all makes it feel a little bit worse from a Sixers perspective. But that's all it really came down to, I think, to them and to me, is that they picked their poison, and they drank enough of the poison that they all are lying on the floor dead after that game.
Yeah, I mean, I think the idea of trying to double and take the ball out of Mitchell's hands, they executed that part very well. And yes, Jalen Tyson is a good shooter. Is he a 13 of 17 from the field? Like, I think most nights you're winning that bet if you guard Donovan Mitchell at that level. Kyle, one guy who we have not talked about that much, because I think we were talking about Maxey a lot early on, is the guy who was the Sixers' best player tonight, and that was Joel. I just thought, like, his mix of, I would say, finesse and also power, like, was really good in this game. We talked a lot about, I saw you tweet the other night about how the Cavs, their aggressive defense against the two-man game kind of shut them down. He and Maxey did an awesome job in that regard tonight. Like, they were on a string. They were on the same page. They got good shots pretty much the whole game except for 2 possessions late in the fourth quarter, which we all know about. But yeah, I just thought really good offensive game from Joe.
Yeah, and I thought it was, to your point, Rich, just a great mix of stuff. Like they did some things away from the ball with Paul and Kelly and some of the other guys to just, you're isolating Joel rather than, all right, you're getting doubled and then Allen can fall back to you. It's like we have Joel on the left block and we've made it difficult for them to send help. And so then Joel is playing the face-up game, playing the drive game. You also had him at times in the first half, especially running the floor on stops. And I thought he got a couple of easy seals of like Evan Mobley or somebody else on a mismatch, and he's drawing fouls. He played good downhill game early in this game where he had a layup that he missed, and then he gets the offensive rebound, gets fouled again. Like all the signs of good health, good conditioning that I think we've seen from Joel in the past. And so like that stuff is super meaningful to me. And I agree with you. Like I think while Maxey was not good in terms of the scoring, the attacking stuff for most of this game, the pocket passes are arriving to Joe right on time. Laces are right in the right spot. And so he's able to rise into some of these shots. Like I thought when Joel hit that one mid-range with like 4.5 minutes left off of that pocket pass, to me, that was like okay, you settled the team. You needed that possession and you're going to see this thing out based on how they played all night. And then
Yep.
they lost the plot down the stretch. It's infuriating. So anybody who is ready to fire and trade people after that game, I get like they're not going to do that, but I get where that emotion's coming from. That was a tough one.
Kyle, going to Tyrese Maxey over this 2-game mini series, he shot overall in this series here 14 for 39 against this Cleveland defense, and a lot of that was Jalen Tyson, who had him as an assignment on Wednesday and also tonight. So even with the 39 that Tyson put up, he also defended Maxey well enough to frustrate him. And you saw some DeAndre Hunter, some of the other players where made it difficult for Tyrese Maxey. What did you see now that the 2 games are in the books as far as how Maxey, why he struggled against this defense?
I think the answer is that they're able to throw a lot of different stuff at him, Devon. I think you're absolutely right to point out Tyson's defense because there are times when he's picking them up 80 feet down the floor and he's making them play through pressure. Then there are times when, I mean, we talked about it after the first game and it was a storyline coming in tonight. They're throwing 2 at him quite a bit. And maybe it's not a hard trap, but it's at least like they're icing the picks on the sideline and then just showing him bodies. And even if he's able to wait it out a little bit, and I thought he did a better job of that tonight, not just automatically throwing the pass to Joel middle. Like there were a couple plays where he hesitates and he waits for Allen or Mobley to slide, and then he's got a potential driving lane. You're always worried when they play those 2 big lineups that Mobley is going to be back there in weak side help, and that's always going to be a threat. And they always have somebody on the floor who's offering a bit of resistance at the rim, even if you break that initial line of defense. So it's a difficult team. Now, on the other side of it, there's some shooting variant stuff in there for sure. Like there are 4 or 5 shots I can think of tonight that in a regular, not even a good Tyrese Maxey game, a regular Tyrese Maxey game, he's hitting a couple of those. And in a good game, he's making all of them. Like he's making the open corner 3 midway through the fourth. He's making the transition 3 earlier in the game. That's just a money shot for Maxey. So it's a combination of things, but I would say given that they're down 3-0 in the season series and he played very poorly by his standards this week, they got a lot to look at on the tape.
Kyle, last one for me, and it's just a question of, we talked about the give and take with the help off Tyson and Mitchell, but with Tyson making his shots and also the offense down the stretch, did Nurse, did Embiid, did Maxey say anything about the last few minutes of the game? If they thought it was what went wrong, what went right, anything like that?
Maxey talked a little bit about it, and I think he was by and large kind of happy with where they were at, which I know is not what people want to hear probably, but I think what he came back to was, so for example, like the Kelly Oubre 3, he's like, that's a good shot. Like we trust Kelly to take those shots. So you live with that. He has a couple of baskets down the stretch. I think the main thing that he harped on was turnovers. And that was something that Nurse hit on too, was even on plays that weren't turnovers, they gotta there was a tie up with 2 seconds on the shot clock where then they had to jump it at half court. And so even if Joel had won that, that's effectively a turnover. And so sloppiness with the basketball and some basic execution stuff is where I think they were dissatisfied. When they were able to actually run offense, I think they liked what they got. But they are still trying to figure out exactly what their identity is down the stretch, I think. And some of that is just, this is the first year that Maxey has been in this position where I think it defaults to him as much or more than it does to Joel. And they still have not necessarily figured out, like, what are our pet plays to get Maxey a bucket and to get him open, frankly, because as we've seen with Joel over the years, sometimes it's just as simple as, can we get you the ball? And there was a possession tonight where Maxey and VJ stood around for probably 12 seconds of the shot clock with VJ just like, are you going to come back to the ball? Like, what's happening here? So it's definitely some growing pains they got to work through.
That's the 1-2 pick and roll. And the issue is if they switch it, you better get it to Maxey pretty quickly. They did a good job of denying him on that one.